Padishah. Padishah, meaning Master King, is a Persian origin title signifying supreme sovereignty. A title of nobility roughly meaning emperor in Persian languages, it was primarily used for the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Derived from Middle Persian Pasha and Old Persian Kshayathia, it was historically used by rulers claiming the highest rank, akin to the Persian Great King. The title was adopted by the Mughal emperors of India and reserved exclusively for Ottoman emperors. The Ottoman Chancery rarely applied it to foreign monarchs, referring to the Habsburg emperors dismissively as Kings of Vienna. Sultan. Sultan, meaning authority or power, derives from the Arabic root salata, to be strong, and initially referred to moral authority, as seen in the Quran. In early Islam, the Caliph held ultimate authority, but by the 9th century, political fragmentation led independent governors, amirs, to rise as rulers. By the late 10th century, Sultan became a title for near-sovereign rulers, evolving gradually. By the 16th century, it was used by both men and women in the Ottoman Dynasty, replacing titles like Khatun and Bey to stress family sovereignty. Ottomans preferred Padishah, with rulers formally titled Sultan Khan, for example, Sultan Suleiman Khan. Caliph. A caliph is the religious and political leader of an Islamic state, or caliphate, derived from the Arabic khalifa, meaning successor. The caliphate began in 632 CE after Prophet Muhammad's death, with Abu Bakr as the first leader. Over centuries, caliphs ruled vast empires like the Rashidun, Umayyad, and Abbasid, blending political and spiritual authority. The traditional caliphate ended with the Mongol sack of Baghdad in 1258, and the Ottoman Caliphate's abolition in 1924 marked its final demise. Grand Vizier. The term Vizier originated in the Abbasid Caliphate and was adopted by the Ottomans in the 14th century, with Chandalı Halil Pasha, the Elder, becoming the first Grand Vizier. This role, which combined military and political authority, evolved into a powerful position, especially during the Köprülü era in the 17th century, when Grand Vizier centralized power and expanded the empire's reach. Initially filled by Turkish elites, the position later shifted to officials from the Kul system, often of Balkan or Byzantine origin, to minimize internal court influence. By the 19th century, Grand Viziers functioned more like prime ministers in Western monarchies. Valide Sultan. Valide Sultan, Sultana Mother, was the mother of a reigning Ottoman Sultan, a title formalized in the 16th century with Hafsa Sultan. She held immense power, influencing political decisions, overseeing court affairs, and funding major architectural and charitable projects. During the Sultanate of Women, a period in the Ottoman Empire when consorts, mothers, sisters, and grandmothers of sultans wielded significant political power and influence. The Valide Sultan's role peaked, with some acting as regents for child sultans. Key figures like Nurbanu, Safiye, Kosim, and Turhan sultans exemplified this influential position, shaping court dynamics and forging alliances through royal marriages. Haseki Sultan. Haseki Sultan was the title for the chief consort of an Ottoman sultan, introduced with Hürrem Sultan, wife of Suleiman the Magnificent. The word Haseki derives from the Arabic word kassa, meaning exclusive, combined with the Persian suffix ji, signifying one who belongs exclusively to the sultan. It signified the most powerful position in the imperial harem after the Valide Sultan. The title was an equivalent to the European title of queen consort. Hasekis often influenced state affairs, foreign policy, and succession. The title lost its exclusivity under Ibrahim I, who bestowed it on multiple consorts, signaling its decline. Kadin. Kadin was the title for imperial consorts of the Ottoman Sultan from the 17th to the early 20th century. Typically, the Sultan had 4 Kadins, ranked in order of seniority, each with designated titles and personal apartments in the harem. They received allowances based on rank and had strict restrictions on movement, only leaving the palace under heavy security or for official processions. If the Valide Sultan was deceased, the senior Kadin oversaw the harem. Upon a sultan's death, Kadins without surviving children were either married to statesmen or retired to the old palace. Sehzade, Sehzade, from Persian Shahzadeh, was the Ottoman title for male descendants of a sultan, equivalent to prince of the blood in English. Derived from Shah and the Persian suffix zada, meaning descendant of, it was used exclusively for those eligible to succeed the throne. Before Murad II's reign, Sultan's sons used the title Celebi. A Sehzade was formally addressed as Devletlu Najabatlu Sehzade Sultan, followed by their given name, with Hazretleri Effendi rounding out the title, while their consorts were titled Hanım Effendi. Crown princes were styled Valide or Veliad, meaning designated successor, with their consorts carrying corresponding titles. These titles continue to be used by descendants of the Ottoman Dynasty. In Ottoman royalty, there was no direct feminine equivalent of Sehzade or a specific title for princesses. Before the 16th century, Ottoman princesses were referred to as Hatun, a title also used for female consorts and noblewomen. After 1481, with Bayezid II's accession, the title Sultan was used after their names, signifying their place in the imperial family. Sultanzade. Sultanzade was the title for the sons of sultanas or imperial princesses, meaning descendant of a sultan. Unlike Shehzades, Sultanzades were excluded from the imperial succession. They were formally addressed as Sultanzada, followed by their name, Bey Effendi, Hanım Sultan. The feminine counterpart of Sultanzade, Hanım Sultan, derived from Hanım and Sultan. This title was used for daughters of sultanas or imperial princesses. They were formally addressed as Hanım Sultan, meaning Madame Sultana. Damat. Damat, meaning bridegroom, was an official Ottoman title describing men that entered the imperial house of Osman by means of marriage, literally becoming the bridegroom to the Ottoman Sultan and the dynasty. Pasha. A Pasha was a high-ranking Ottoman title granted to governors, generals and dignitaries, later adopted in Egypt and Morocco. Derived from Turkish bash, meaning head or chief, the term entered English in the 17th century. Originally exclusive to military commanders, it expanded to include high officials and honorary recipients. The title was abolished in Turkey in the 1930s, but remains an honorary term for senior Turkish officers and retains cultural significance in Egypt and elsewhere. Beylerbey. Beylerbey, meaning Bey of Beys, was a high-ranking Ottoman title, initially for commanders-in-chief before becoming a rank for senior provincial governors. Introduced under Murad I in the 14th century, it oversaw key provinces like Rumelia and Anatolia, later expanding to over 40 regions. By the 16th century, it became an honorary court title below viziers, and by the 18th century, it was largely replaced by wali. The 1864 Vilayet reform ended its administrative role, leaving it as an honorary designation. Bey. The title Bey, or variants such as Baig, Bey and Beg, originated as a Turkic term meaning chieftain and was used for leaders and nobles in Turkic kingdoms, sultanates and empires across Central Asia, South Asia, Southeast Europe and the Middle East. The feminine equivalent was Begum, and the regions they governed were called beyliks. During the Ottoman period, Bey signified both territorial rulers and high-ranking officials, with roles varying across regions. Effendi, derived from ancient Greek authentes, lord. Effendi was a term of respect equivalent to sir in English or monsieur in French. The title followed a personal name and was often used for members of learned professions, high-ranking government officials, and individuals holding specific offices such as Hakim Effendi, chief physician to the Sultan. Historically, Effendi signified an educated gentleman, often a graduate of a secular state school, though many had religious education backgrounds. It was also used for women, Christians, and members of the Ottoman royal family.